Now this one's a fun one. I'm going to talk about painting with digital paint. I'm going to close this palette here. I'm going to make a new blank layer. I'm going to fill it with white here. And I'm going to select a different color. How about a nice pretty blue there? That works. I'm going to select the paintbrush tool. And we could paint and make little paint squiggles. We'll be doing that often through the training series. And that's really not a big deal. So I'm going to undo that. But we can go into our brushes palette and select from any one of a number of actually more exciting brushes. We can click on stars and make a whole world of stars. I'm going to undo that. We can even make those stars bigger. Look at that. A very interesting effect. I'm going to undo that. So I'm going to select a nice autumn orange color. And I'm going to make a new layer to paint on so I can edit it later. I'm going to select this nice fall brush right here. Let's actually take down the size of this. Actually, maybe let's bump it up a little bit. Let's go over to scattering and increase the scattering. Take down the count. Oh, this is beautiful. Watch this. Woohoo! Nice. Watch this. I could also double click this layer and apply some effects. I could click here and add a drop shadow. I could add a bevel and emboss to make them kind of 3D leaves if I want to. I hit OK. And again, just like we've talked about so far, these are non-destructive changes. At any time, I could say, you know, I like the bevel and emboss, but I don't like the drop shadow. All I have to do is hit this thing in the eye, and there we go. I have the bevel and emboss. I have the 3D rounded effect, but no drop shadow. Or I can double-click this to open it back up and go back and play with my settings a little bit more. Maybe that's a little bit too much bevel and emboss. I can take that down just a little bit. Or maybe I do like the drop shadow, but I want to change its color or its distance from my objects or the angle at which the light is hitting those autumn leaves. Any one of a number of things I can do. And again, if I'm smart, I'm working non-destructively. Now let me show you another trick here. I'm going to hit cancel. I'm going to delete this layer. I'm going to make another new blank layer. I'm going to go back to the old paint squiggle. Just this little tool like this. But watch how much more awesome my painting can be using these non-destructive effects. I'm actually going to close this palette. I'm done with it now. And let's add a little drop shadow. Add some bevel and emboss and maybe some nice thick chiseled bevel and emboss. Change this to chisel hard. Oh, that's beautiful. Now again, we're going to have a similar lesson coming up later in the series. So again, if you're thinking I'm doing some really cool stuff, I'm going to show you step by step what I'm doing later. Add some color overlay here. Look at that. Oh yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So I hit OK and I have this really awesome 3D style applied to my paint stroke. Well, I'm going to make a little bit bigger of a paint stroke, and look at this. I could paint with that same metallic paint. Look at it. It even interacts with the other areas of paint that I already had. Look at that. That is so sweet. So maybe you might not want to paint with metal. Maybe you might want to paint with some type of fabric or rock or some other type of material. You can do that when painting inside of Photoshop. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's a great way to play around artistically. And especially if you're like me and you don't really have that much skill in the area of painting, it's a great place to come and practice, play with color, play with texture, and not have a mess to clean up afterwards.